So to start with laser cutter, what we're going to do is develop a disc that looks like this that will attach to the top of our stepper motor to where we can actually have more surface area to attach to if we need to. So to get started here, we're going to take a couple measurements with our caliper. And so I'm seeing that as 0.116, and I'm seeing this as 0.195. All right, so now what we've got is we've got our disk. We need to draw it in this 3D modeling software here. And so I'm in a software called Onshape. It's a free online subscription. And I'm going to go in and create a new document. I'm going to call this just my wheel. And so this is bringing me into a three-dimensional space. And so like this is the XY plane, this is the YZ, this is the XZ plane. And I'm going to have to draw in 2D before I work in 3D. And so to do that, I'm going to start and I'm going to sketch. And I'm going to sketch on this top plane. And I'm going to start with a circle. I'm going to start on the origin there because it's going to lock it in place. And I'm going to add a dimension line. And I'm going to make this 1.25 as far as my size. I'm going to zoom in. I'm just doing that by scrolling on my mouse wheel. And now I'm going to make a center point rectangle around that same spot. And I'm going to add a little size on this. So I'm going to set this one to be 0.2. And I'm going to set this one to be 0.125. And so now that I've got my sketch, it's all black, so I know it's all fully constrained. If it was blue, what I would know is it wasn't constrained to that origin. And so now that I have that, I'm going to go ahead and extrude. I'm going to select the profile that I want, and I'm going to extrude this by 0.25, which is the thickness of the material that we're going to use, right about 1/4 inch. All right? And we click check. So with that done, I'm pretty much in good shape. I could go in and add some fillets here that will round these interior corners. And in my perspective also, I'm going to have to mess with the size of this hole to get a really good and tight fit on that stepper motor. Because what will happen is, depending on the wattage of the laser, might cut in different widths, and I want it to be snug. So, but to get it to the laser, what we're going to do is I'm going to create a drawing file. It doesn't really matter what template we use in this situation. And what will happen is this is going to send an image over, and since we know how big the paper is, we'll be able to know within the next software how big the circle is and be able to make it. So I'm going to use my top view, and I'm going to use it as 1:1, which means that's the exact size that it's supposed to be. Pasting it there. And that's really all I need for right now. Export this as a PDF. And we're going to use that to open up in Adobe Illustrator. So now we're going to make our part on the laser cutter. Place some material in the laser cutter. First, making sure the material is below the nozzle, and then moving it to the top left position. Now let's open up Adobe Illustrator. So our new document from a custom template that is 12 inches by 24. And then with that open, we'll open up the PDF we saved from Onshape. And what we're going to do is we're going to copy the vectors, which compose that circle there, out of the image in the PDF and paste them in our new document. And what that allows us to do is allows us to change the colors on the PDF to where we can then send them to the laser and make that work. We're going to be using like red, and it's got to be the FF00000 red, because that's what the laser recognizes as a cutting vector. And also it must be 0.001 as far as the thickness of it. Once we have that done and we've got all of our lines established that way, we can then go in, send it to print, confirm that it's sending to the laser, which is the VLS 3.5. And then we're going to find it down there on the red icon to where we can actually see it within it. We're going to try to position our part up in the top left corner, and we're going to run our cursor to the bottom. And that's going to allow us to know how big the part is. So here comes our nozzle. So now we're going to set the height of the laser. It's got to be set at 2 inches, which our jig helps us do. I'm just going to use the buttons on the side to be able to adjust it. Right there. We can adjust the height on the side of the laser. So we'll go down or we'll go up and leave. With that process completed, we're going to go into our settings to choose our material. In this situation, we're using a natural wood, which is birch. So we're going to go into wood, select a medium wood, go down to birch, and then set our thickness to 0.25. Select apply. We can go in and manually control these, so we can set like different colors through different operations, whether it be raster or vector, and then adjust their powers, but we're not going to do that. Select OK. We can move on. Going by color, turn on the air that relates to your laser. Turn on the filter. And now everything's in place to cut our part. So click go.